Yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Ms. Sanchez, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we're on a dangerous path. First, my Republican colleagues pulled two critical appropriation bills from the floor simply because their party cannot come to an agreement on a flag that represents a very dark time in our nation's history. Second, my colleagues across the aisle, rather than focusing their energy on passing comprehensive immigration reform, pass a poisonous anti-immigrant bill in response to an isolated incident in the city of San Francisco, pulling money away from our law enforcement funding for public safety. Then they refused to authorize the Export-Import Bank, which helps ensure that Americans' businesses can compete with their global competitors. And now the House Republicans refuse to come to the table yet again to provide a robust, long-term funding bill for our decaying infrastructure system in America. Why do we continue to refuse and cut services that our communities need? The American people need good-paying jobs, safe and modern infrastructure, and efficient transportation in order to provide a better life for themselves and for their families. We need to stop these stopgap extensions. How do we fix a broken bridge or a broken highway? 2 months of highway funding will not do that. In my home state of California, 60% of our roads are in poor or mediocre conditions. And moreover, almost 30% of California's bridges have been recognized by the Department of Transportation as structurally deficient. And just a little bit over a week ago, California residents experienced the real-life consequences of this statistic when the Interstate 10, which connects California and Arizona, collapsed, injuring a resident and shutting down the highways for several days. This highway is critical to our Southwest economy, which is already suffering from deficiencies because of our water infrastructure and the drought that we have going on. With more than 60,000 bridges throughout the United States in need of drastic repairs, failing to provide Americans with a long-term highway bill, we're putting jobs at risk and we're putting our lives at risk, which is why my fellow House Democrats have come together to provide a six-year funding bill known as the Grow America Act. The bill will provide $478 billion over 6 years so that states and local municipalities can address critical infrastructure needs. This common sense legislation would help pay for the investments by ending an unfair tax loophole and limiting corporate inversions, meaning that big corporations, when they're renouncing their United States citizenship, they do that in order to avoid paying taxes. Let's use that money for transportation investments here in America. Investing in local public transportation projects not only helps to improve our traffic flow, but it also helps create good jobs. As we look for ways to put our economy back on track, we must be mindful of the services that we provide to the American people. We need to stop slashing, and we need to start providing. We need to get away from sequestration and patchwork funding mentality to actually fulfill our duty as public servants in and to the American people. Our families and our roads and our economy deserve a highway funding bill that will invest in America's future. It will invest in better infrastructure. It will invest in bigger paychecks for our hardworking families who are trying to make it in America. I yield the balance of my time.
The gentlelady yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Florida.